Anyway, here we go.
All right. Yeah, let's go. Go.
Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right, Movie the Podcast. We're back, and there's just two. I guess TJ and I are back.
Just me and Gogs. It's a rare two-hander on the show. It's something I try to stay away from. I feel like we never do two-handers, but whatever.
But
we couldn't deprave you guys of a show this week. So,
and we're also talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, Predator 2. So, I don't know how to avoid this.
Favorite movie of all time, huh?
It is listen.
I mean, we're going to talk about it, obviously. I liked it a lot more than I remember, but I still have my problems with the movie.
Oh, it's not. So this is what I tell everyone when they ask me, why do you like Predator 2? I'm like, it's not good, but it is excellent.
It's fun. No, it's got a lot of much. It's a lot of fun. There's it's if anything, the thing, and we'll talk about it more later, but it's a movie that I wish went a little harder into its premise, about the whole urban combat predator thing. I don't think it needs more of that.
I love the fact that it's trying to be a hardcore, dirty, hairy, the chief is screaming at the lead. Yeah. It's every trope in the world. Oh, by the way, there's an intergalactic hunting alien here now too.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll talk about it in a minute because this is going to be quick. It's going to be an incredibly quick show.
Yeah, Anthony, strap in, buddy boy.
So we watched Predator 2.
Predator 2.
So, Gogs, what else did you watch?
I watched three things. One of which I don't need to. I know. I don't need to get into too deep on the first one, because it's Mutant Mayhem. I watched it twice with my kids.
That's a fun movie.
That movie is so
Have your kids watched
They watched the original. The original.
No, trilogy. What was the CGI one that came out about 10 years ago? TMNT. Did they?
I don't think they've seen that. None of us. We haven't.
That one. I remember that one was pretty good.
Was it good? But every time I watch that movie, something else sticks out to me and makes me laugh and smile. It's number two for my. It just Oppenheimer just edged it out last year. But I don't know if you've seen it now, right? So you like it.
I loved it, yeah. Didn't we watch it together? I feel like we watched it together.
Possibly. I've seen it. So I think I've probably seen it since it's been available, since it's been wildly released. I think I've probably seen it no less than 12 times. But this time I was watching it and they're playing Can I Kick It at the closing credits by Tribe Called Quest. I'm just sitting there just vibing, just loving life. And they go through the whole cast, right? They're showing, and I was talking to Vance the whole time. I was like, dude, I was analyzing the scene with where Splinter goes ham and beats everybody. I was like, that's exactly how Jackie Chan fights in movies. I was showing him highlights. Me and him are gonna start watching Jackie Chan movies. We're bonding.
Oh yeah.
But we're going through the credits, right? And he's like, when are they gonna say Jackie Chan? And then his name pops up next. Like, oh, it's Jackie Chan. And then it ends with, it doesn't end with, but then it says, introducing Paul Rudd as Mondo Gecko. And I was like, that's hilarious.
You didn't realize it was Paul Rudd? Oh, that
no.
Introducing.
I knew it was Paul Rudd. I just thought it was hilarious that it said introducing. So
I think it's hilarious that Mondo Gecko is in the fucking movie because I had the Mondo Gecko toy.
I had a wingnut. I had a wingnut toy.
I had wingnut too.
Of all the toys that show up there, and I think I had a Leatherhead. So the other thing Liz and I watched Good Will Hunting. A movie that I don't think I've ever seen that all the way through.
I've never seen it either, but it's one of those movies that's been memed so much that I feel like I've seen it
right now. The part with you, how easy this is for me, that's been showing up on my feed.
I saw it on TikTok. Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird how TikTok pushes stuff that's who's thought of that fucking movie in 20 years, you know?
Well, it must have wormed its way into my wife's subconscious, so we watched it, and let me tell you.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. It's a good movie. Matt Damon is really good in it. And here's the other thing, right? And I had to do this. I was telling Liz this. You're watching it, right, nowadays with the perspective, oh, that's Ben Affleck. That's Matt Damon, right?
Oh, sure.
But when the movie came out, they were Ben Affleck, and that wasn't Matt Damon.
It was very, very early on in their careers.
Those were their names, but no one... Right, there's no shine on them yet, or not much.
Yeah, I want to say Ben Affleck was probably in Mallrats before that movie, but it's not. I
think he was in Mallrats, and Matt Damon was he shows up in. I think he shows up the same year in Saving Private Ryan. I think they both came out that year.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah,
but he's not even a big part in Saving Private. It's not his movie.
No. Well, it kind of is.
I mean, his name. He's the titular Private Ryan, but it's like Waiting for Guffman, right?
Right.
So I'm watching this thing, and Matt Damon's great. It's this babyface Matt Damon, babyface Ben Affleck. Matt Damon's killing it. Ben Affleck is actually just absolutely destroying it. Ben Affleck's character has so much
what is it even
Affleck
about?
in it.
It's about
it's about this. So Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Matt Damon lives in Southie. He's an orphan. He lives in a 1-room apartment, that's part of a house, and he works menial jobs. He is a character that has nothing but defense mechanisms built into him because it's been abandoned and hurt his whole life, and he doesn't want to become close to anyone.
Just like me.
But he's got a photographic memory.
Oh,
so anything. So he just loses himself in learning. So then he ends up becoming a janitor at Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
And Stellan Skarsgård's this theoretical mathematician. He's if anyone can solve this problem, you'll get extra credit, whatever. And he's just mopping the floor and whatever, and just speaks to him. He's a savant, right?
Right.
So then they end up getting meshed up and whatever, and it just ends up becoming this. But he's such a troubled kid. He's always getting in fights and whatever else. So he beats up a cop at some point, and he gets remanded into the custody of Stellan Skarsgård, who's listen, you're going to work with me for math, and you're going to go to counseling. And so it's almost like RoboCop 2, where they go through a litany of scenes where he's just burning out counselors because he knows how to manipulate people, and he's smarter than them, and he knows he's smarter than them, and he can just, he knows all the tricks they're going to pull. He already read their books, right? So you end up getting teamed up with Robin Williams, who was Stellan Skarsgård's roommate in college back in the day, and he's a kid from Southie. He grew up on it. They have a similar background, and then it's about Robin Williams taking down Matt Damon's walls. And let me tell you something. I was telling
his back walls.
Yeah, right.
It's about Robin Williams taking down Matt Damon's back walls. Now we're talking.
Now it's a movie.
They should have called that Backshots University.
Yeah. As I'm watching with Liz, I was Robin Williams won an Academy Award for this. I paused the movie and I was talking to Liz. I was I cannot say enough how much I appreciate an understated, dramatic Robin Williams.
Oh, he was great.
He is just full of warmth, but depth.
I feel like we went through that with our Robin Williams movies that we watched, because when he's all how about it's okay.
Yeah, but he's when he's grounded and when he's being a human being, he is just impeccable. He is
he's fantastic.
And then you should watch the movie. I would recommend it. It's a really good dramatic movie. Minnie Driver's great in it. Ben, everyone's great in it. But one of the fun, I'll try not to ruin this for you. I'll just give you this fun little fun fact. At the end of the movie, there's a scene with Robin Williams where he basically just reads a note from Will, and then he says something afterwards. He says, son of a bitch, you stole my line. And then the movie ends. It's credits, right?
Right.
He wasn't supposed to say anything in that scene. I forget if it's Gus Van Sant, whoever's directing this thing. He was just supposed to read it.
You're right.
I think he was supposed to read it, acknowledge it, and then just move on. But he said it so perfect. He ad-libbed it. It was so absolutely perfect that they were well, we got to leave this in. This is it's awesome. Then the last thing I watched is not awesome. It is bonkers. I don't know if you've seen this. I think I've seen movies about this. I've seen YouTube clips about this.
Okay.
I watched Slumber Party Massacre 2.
I have only seen Slumber Party Massacre 1, and that's pretty great. That's Slumber Party Massacre is with the guy with the guitar,
the rockabilly guy, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little something about Slumber Party Massacre 2. Slumber Party Massacre 2. It's I guess I've never seen Slumber Party Massacre 1, by the way, but
it's terrible. It's a lot of fun, but it's terrible.
So I guess the killer from Slumber Party Massacre 1 dies at the end of Slumber Party Massacre 1, and maybe gets killed by this girl and her older sister. Well, now this younger girl in the first movie is like a teenager, and she's gonna go for a weekend away with the rest of her girl band to a condo, and they're gonna have like a girls' weekend, and then the boys show up, and it's like drinking and sex and all the fun stuff you want, right? But the entire time, the progression of this movie, like almost apropos of nothing, she starts having visions and dreams about the murderer from Slumber Party Massacre 1 coming back.
As you do, yeah.
Okay, but then she's starting to have like psychosis. Like there's one scene where she's looking at her friend's complaining about a pimple, and she's looking at her friend's face turns into this distorted monster, like with this huge boil, and then she like explodes into pieces in front of her, and the girl comes down screaming, like, "Oh my God, like my friend's dead," like, and everybody's like, "Oh my," like she seems like she's having a psychotic break, right?
Right.
Like whatever is happening, the ghost, the essence, the memory of the murderer from Slumber Party Massacre 1 has ruined her psyche, and she is falling to pieces. You're like, is this going to turn into high tension? Like, is she going to start killing people and think it's him? Like, what's this going to be?
I'm into this so far. Doesn't sound terrible.
What it ends up being is that somehow her psychosis wills the killer from the first movie back to life.
It's amazing.
Takes everyone heart in the condo.
Wow. So
she physically
manifests a killer. Wow. It's incredible.
And then it just takes this weird turn where they're like, she's losing him, and then all of a sudden the guy's there with like his like drill bit bass, and he's like, "Hey, baby!" Like it's.
I mean, it sounds pretty good, dude. It sounds real good.
It's like Silent Night, Deadly Night level of insane. Like it is.
Sounds awesome.
Bonkers. And I'm trying to remember like if it ends up being. I think that's just how it ends. It just. Until
she's like a Dr. Manhattan. She's
she's brought him back. Like so.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I don't think I missed anything.
It's actually a treatise. It's actually a treatise on trauma. I think you just were too stupid to get it.
I think it might have been because I was like, "What is happening here?" But those are all the things I watched. What'd you watch?
I watched two things. I watched Killers of the Flower Moon.
What is that about? Everyone's been buzzing about it.
It's about 5.5 hours long is what it's about.
All the kids are crowing about.
It's like
Killers of the Flower Moon.
It's about fucking white people fucking over Native Americans, basically. And it's not bad, but it's fucking long, and it took me 3 fucking sittings to watch it. I didn't really care for it. Like, I don't think it's bad, but like, I can't. Like, I guess the fact that I couldn't stay interested in the movie must mean it's bad, right? Because, like, my mind, it was, and again, I'll full disclaimer, not disclaimer, but full transparency, like,
right?
Maybe I just wasn't in the right state of mind to watch the movie, but, like, I could not, my eyes kept drifting from the screen to my phone. Like, I was like, okay. And, like, again, it's directed well. The acting's good. The Native American, I don't know, a bunch of people. De Niro, DiCaprio. The Native American like co-lead is really good. I think this is like her first film. She's great. She is really good in the movie. But like, and everybody's. But like, here's the thing, and this is probably the dumbest fucking critique I'll ever give something. Like, Leo being good isn't impressive anymore because he's always good. So it's just like, Like, it doesn't stand out. And again, the plot doesn't really stand out. And I just found myself not interested in the movie. And I finished it, but then when it was over, I was like, why did I bother finishing that movie? Like, I didn't care at any point in the movie. So yeah, it sucks. I didn't like it.
No good, huh?
Again, if a movie can't keep me interested, then it's bad. Like, or at least it's bad for me. Like, I lost interest almost instantaneously. Like, it was long and it felt long, just like Drake's penis.
Nice.
It's very long. It's a long penis.
Well, I mean, good. I mean, you know, gotta do something with it.
You know what? That's a good point. You gotta do something with it. I also watched the new Jonathan Glazer film, Zone of Interest. It's
interest or influence?
Interest.
Okay.
and it's I kept calling it Zone of Interest. It's the zone of interest. It's amazing. It's if I saw it before the end of the year, it would have probably been number 2 on my best of last year list. It's that fucking good. It's a movie,
like limited release, like in 2023, and now it's widely released.
Yeah, it was like super limited before the end of last year, but it's showing up in more theaters. I actually saw it at Cinemark, so I mean that's like as normie of a movie theater as you can get. It's excellent though, man. It's like, it's weird to say this, but like if you're gonna give something like best Holocaust movie, like it's weird to, it's a weird category to have, but it's the best Holocaust movie. It's so fucking good, and it's so like, I've never seen a movie that's so in your face and intense and I don't know, like depressing without being over. Like it's not in your face like as storytelling goes, but it's all there, right? Like it's like all.
Is the concentration camp shown ever, or is it just hinted at?
No, it's shown.
Oh wow!
I mean, you don't go to the fucking like. So the movie is about this commandant and his family he's literally the commandant of Auschwitz. So it's not just any concentration camp. It is it's the Madison Square Garden of concentration camp. So, but like the movie, like the minute you see the fucking house, like the buildings of the concentration camp are right over the wall. Like it's right there. Like when I say it is right there, it is closer to my apartment. It's like where Chef Polinos is next to my apartment. It is right there. And it is watching you the whole time. Anytime like that, it is in frame so often. And there's so many times where shit, like you hear things, like there's just like a cacophony of background noise through the whole movie of just like screaming and gunshots. And like, it's never like right there. It's never in your face, but it's there and you can hear it. And it's fucking unnerving. And the whole point of the movie is how they don't care. They don't react. It's about the banality of evil that they're worried about their shit. They're worried about fucking planning the husband's birthday party. At one point, the husband is going to get relocated to a different camp and they're like upset and the wife doesn't want to leave because they've built this, this beautiful home for their children. And it's like the worst atrocity known to man is happening.
That's literally a stone's throws away.
To your fucking right. But it's brilliant, man. It is fucking brilliant. And like, it takes a lot of risks. Like the opening of the movie is literally like 4 minutes of darkness. Like it shows the title card and then it goes black and then it's just a soundscape. And it's fucking wild. And it's very smart because it teaches you all as an audience right away to pay attention to the sound that you're listening to. Because sound plays a huge part in this movie. I thought this movie was absolutely amazing. I think this movie hits buttons that like a few movies do, and it did it in a way that like, how I talk a lot about fucking, I hate movies that lampshade things. I hate movies that like hold the audience's hand. I wish movies would, show, don't tell. That's what I repeat over and over and over. This movie is all show, no tell. This movie is, it tells its story through like literally like the framing and the camera movements, excuse me. It shows it through sound design and even like Jonathan Glazer, he did a bunch of like hidden cameras in Under the Skin. Like he actually like rigged up a van to have a bunch of hidden cameras so he could, there's like parts in Under the Skin that are actually like real people on the street that Scarlett Johansson's talking to. Well, he's kind of implemented that again because apparently in this house there was like, I don't know, it's like 15 cameras or something. And he just cut in between those cameras. So it all feels like very like intrusive, but in like an interesting way.
But like the people were just acting in the space and he was finding the best way to show it. Like they weren't playing to the camera.
No. And you can tell. And it's, I don't know, man. I just think this movie takes so many interesting chances. And I think at the end, like I can already see like a lot of people watching this movie and hating it because they're like, well, nothing happened. And to that I say, you're not watching the movie. You're expecting a normal plot. You're expecting a normal kind of movie. Like I this is going to be an odd comparison, but I really do like the movie Salo, which is hilarious now that it's kind of like meme-ified. But I like that movie a lot because that movie is also about fucking Nazis. And the thing that I like about that movie is the victims in that movie are never given like characters. They're literally just victims, right? They're not shown to be people. You view them the same way that the torturers view them. And that's fucking horrifying, right? That puts you in a mind space as an audience where you're like, Jesus Christ. And I like that a lot because in every other movie that there'd been a story where one of the torturees gets out or like patches together a plan to rise up against their oppressors. And I think that's really interesting to not do that. And I think in this movie, I think like the natural inclination is one of them is going to realize like what's going on. They're going to wake up, or there's going to be a victim of, you know, the camps that comes out and hurts one of the family members, or something's going to happen to like rise to tension.
Or like one of the kids is going to befriend someone in the camp, or like,
exactly. There you go. Perfect example. That never happens, right? The only things that intrude on their lives are stuff like that. I mean, I can't really say it's a spoiler, but there is parts of the movie where like the father, who again is the commandant, is out with his kids in this river that's right next to the camp. And at a certain point, ash just starts pouring down from the river, and he freaks the fuck out, and he gets his kids out of there. But like, that is the horror intruding, like literal fucking human ash. Like,
but he's not horrified about the act. He's horrified the fact that it might touch his children.
Right. And there you go. But like, say that, you know, that's a brilliant fucking metaphor right there. Like, it's awesome. And also there's a part later in the movie where he's like developing this cough, and they don't really get into it that much. And the wife and him, their relationship gets kind of strained. And to me, and this is just my take on the situation, I think what he's trying to demonstrate is that the evil that is around them, that they are participating in, and also his attitude starts to change towards the end of the movie. Like, there is like one kind of like insane line that towards literally the end of the movie might be the final line of the movie. But like he outwardly starts to be more like cruel, right? But I think that Glazer, what he's trying to do is, the evil is like, it's like cancerous, right? Like it's a carcinogen. And I think that the more they're around it,
in you.
It's literally like it's eating away at them, but they don't even know it. Like, I think that's fucking brilliant. And again, that's my take on it. I don't know. Other people might disagree. I think this movie is amazing. It's not like, obviously, it's not like going to be a crowd-pleasing movie. It's not a movie you go out of and you're like, fuck yeah, it's own adventure.
It's not a good date night movie, it sounds like.
I mean, you know, depending on the girl.
On who you're dating.
But it's really fucking good. And Jonathan Glazer is a fucking genius, and I loved it. And I feel like when it's going to be more widely available, there's going to be a huge backlash towards it, because people are going to be like, oh, nothing happened, it's boring. It's like, yeah, no. Killers of the Flower Moon is boring. Plenty of stuff happens in that movie, and it's boring as hell.
It sounds like it's a real like meditation, like just forcing you to sit with it and not get any resolution. Like, you have to just sit with it and there's no there's no carrot at the end of the stick. Like, you have to be part of it. That sounds really compelling. I would like to see it.
It's really good. And there's something that happens that's like, again, almost right at the end of the movie, and I don't want to give it away because it's fucking wild that he does it, but it's also like a very interesting perspective on how we view atrocities, right? Like how, you know, now we're so many years past it, but how we look back at what happened, and based on the knowledge that we have, we expect, well, somebody must have been like cognizant of what was going on, and they had to react to it this way. And it's like, no, they could have just lived their lives. They could have just been a family, like living their lives and not caring about it all. So it's wild. It's wild, and it's kind of damning against humanity. And it made me like, it's one of these things where it made me think a lot about like the cognitive dissonance that like a lot of people have these days, just about horrible shit that's going on. And it's just like, you know, it's wild. I think it's a great movie. I think Jonathan Glazer you know, he only makes a movie like every decade, and like, I don't know, we're lucky to have him. I think the guy is just insanely like creative and amazing. Like I don't know, you look at his movies and like none of them are like the other one. Like I really can't name a director that's like so, each one of his films is so much different than the previous one. It's wild. Like I don't know. The guy that made Sexy Beast made this, and that just blows my fucking mind. But anyway, great movie, highly recommended. Not for the faint of heart. Also, not for somebody that's looking for action. Because literally, like, by metric of story structure, nothing happens. Like, is
it not even all rising action? It's just.
Oh yeah, no. It is a slice of life movie, as slice of lifey as you can get. The husband getting moved to a different camp is like the closest you get to like a falling action. Yeah, and that's not really even that big of a deal, and it's kind of wild. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So yeah. And Sean watched his dad's dicks go in his mouth, and Alec whacked off to it.
Nice. Little 1-2 combo there. Boy.
So, what happened in Predator 2, Gox?
What doesn't happen in Predator 2? Predator 2 rules. Predator 2 opens with a jungle, and the Predator bongos and all the Predator noises you love so much. But then when we crest the hill, what do we see? We see Los Angeles, the city of angels. And it's hot. It's hot down there. There's a war zone going on. You meet Tony Pope, played by Morton Downey Jr. And we're talking about we are having
I could not think of that fucking guy's name. Morton Downey. He had a talk show. I remember.
He had a talk show. I always got mixed up with Robert Downey Jr. when I was a kid.
Is he related?
I don't know. They're both juniors.
And they're both Downies.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. So
wait. The reason you thought they're both juniors?
I assumed every junior is related to every other junior. It's a common last name. Yeah, like I figured you're related to Patrick Mahomes. So we're looking at a legitimate gun battle happening in the streets of LA, like a full-blown, like, Steyr R, like, full automatic weapons, like cops are down. It looks like old Detroit from the RoboCop movies. It is a gritty, I think the year is supposed to be 1990.
Yeah,
it's like the not too distant future. The movie it's like in the future, quote unquote. And you're introduced to Lieutenant Harrigan, played by Danny Glover. And
I could not help but think of Hardigan from Sin City because the name is so similar. I was like,
yeah. So you got Harrigan, and then you got Edward James Olmos as his buddy Danny, and then you get Maria Conchita Alonso as one of his squad, and I guess they do narco stuff. I'm not sure what they do. They do homicide. They do whatever.
I'm not really. Yeah, it's never really fun.
They're assigned to the worst district in all of LA. So there's downed cops in the middle of this firefight. Harrigan's got to figure a way to save them. So he creates a battle wagon out of his police cruiser, and he drives with his head hanging out the side. And he slides in, he saves them, and then he just shotguns people to death.
I know you already said this, but this is like the most insane, like gang war that's happening on the street.
It's like Fallujah. It is a full-blown battle happening.
Also,
like people are reloading.
Hilariously, like fucking, there's like standards bystanders. What standards by? Good lord.
Yeah.
Bystanders and reporters that are literally like inches away from the gunfire, and they don't like. It's like, what the fuck?
This female reporter's like, I'm out of here. I'm done with this. Send me somewhere else. So then the Scorpions, who are the Colombian gang, retreat into their safe house / sweatshop. And then the police get there, and then the police are like, all right, we got to go in. Like, no, with special weapons and tactics, and stuck on another thing. And then they're like, all right, well, what are we going to do? And then the place, like, the Scorpions are in there getting all ganged up. Everybody's doing nose beers and loading up on their guns and getting ready to rumble.
A lot of nose beers in this movie.
And they're sitting there and they go, all right, well, we'll wait. And then the floor explodes. Like, we're going in now. So they charge in and they start doing the raid redemption thing where they're going up floor by floor trying to clear things. And then the head Scorpion pops out covered in blood and he starts machine gunning down cops. And they chase him up to the roof. And then he sees the Predator and freaks out and falls and splats onto a car. But the Predator had shown up into he's attracted by all the conflict and murdered all the Scorpions, hung them up like meat, slaughtered them, blew their chests out, did all the fun Predator stuff you love. And then he sees Harrigan, and that's the start of their bromance. He is now this is his prey. He wants Harrigan because this is the guy. This seems to be the top dog in L.A. So, movie progresses as movies typically do.
They generally do. Yeah, that's usually how they work.
And we're introduced. We're back at the base, and they're talking about how you weren't supposed to go in. You're supposed to wait. And there's going to be the purview of
Gog said it already, but this is literally like every 80s cop movie cliche. You're a loose cannon. You're wild. Your
pants will be dancing with pigs. Like, it's all the stuff you want. Like, and then you've got two of the guys with the worst skin in the world, both in the chain of command above Danny Glover. There's the guy who I've seen from other things, but I can't place him. And then there's one of the Agent Johnsons from Die Hard. Also, a Fratelli from Goonies. Oh, yeah. I also watched Goonies recently. Goonies rules.
Well, good thing Sean's not on the show. He would fight you over that take.
Well, he doesn't like Goonin?
He's talked about he doesn't like Goonies, yeah. Well, he loves Goonin, trust me.
Well, Goonies is an amazing movie, and that's a piss poor.
Gooning is the new meta, I think. Everybody knows that now.
Right. So, you got Harrigan's in trouble and whatever. He's going to be whatever. Then the next scene, and then I think you're introduced to Bill Paxton shows up. Beloved.
No, he's so good in this movie.
He's so good. He's just like dripping charisma. Like he's
also dripping with sweat.
Well, everyone is in like wool suits and like linens. And they keep playing up how hot it is in LA.
I was going to say, isn't there a few lines in there where they're like, it's an unprecedented heat wave in LA?
Yeah, it's a trillion degrees. But then for some reason, in King Willie's alley, there's an active standing puddle that should have evaporated, but whatever. So the next scene, a Colombian fella is having relations.
Oh my God!
On in his mid floor. So I'm in the construction industry. TJ's in the construction industry. What they did was they took a middle showcase floor of a commercial office building and a glassed out, it should be maybe where you put the amenities space, maybe that's where the gym goes or the lounge, and they turned it into this guy's 2-story mid-building penthouse that's one room. And so he's in there doing whatever, and then the Jamaicans show up, and then the Jamaicans
couldn't afford a higher floor. That's why
I don't. It's in the middle. Every time I watch it, it's so striking because it's the only glassed out floor,
right?
And it's in the dead center of the building.
I feel like some production assistant was like, "Oh yeah, we got
I found a spot, yeah.
And then they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
It was just like Rudy Giuliani in front of Four Seasons Landscaping. They're like, "I guess we're just gonna have to make it work."
I'm glad you pointed it out because it cracked me up. I'm like, "What is going on with this fucking?"
It's double tall with a false ceiling that's just made of
And of course, because it's the fucking early 90s, of course it's just some woman naked, and she's having. I mean, Gogs, I don't know about you, but I've had sex at least twice, so I'm kind of a sex haver. I don't know.
I got 2 kids. I know what's up.
Yeah, you're a sex haver too.
Yeah.
I've never seen a woman rile and rage.
Never in my life. Not even close. Not even. No, you'd have to introduce a taser into the room.
Right. She was flipping the fuck out. I was
it was like she was possessed.
I thought her tits were gonna flip off. Like it was.
Yeah, they almost came around to the back. Like she was just so into it. Like you could see it all through the full height picture glass window. So anyway,
the people literally on street level are like, oh, fucking Hector's having sex again. Like,
he's just annihilating it. So anyway, so the Jamaicans show up in what is a scene that I think is effing brilliant. They come in, they kill the Colombian bodyguards. They hang old boy up from his feet to the ceiling, and they're like, King Willie, says, we got to kill you, but no, we can't just kill you. We got to take your soul, and they do like a voodoo ritual, which I think is awesome. Like it's terrorizing. It's horrific, right?
It's super cool. This scene is great. I love this scene.
And then the Predator shows up and kills everybody, and that's also great. He stabs people with his. So here's the other thing. The Predator and Predator 1 had a very limited kit, right? He had the shoulder launcher, and he had the wrist blade, and I'm pretty confident that's it.
He didn't have the disc thing?
I don't believe the Predator in the original one had the disc thing. I think the Predator.
I think I'm so used to the disc thing from the other Predator movies in the video game.
Let's run it back. Ready? Okay. Hawkins gets killed by shoulder cannon. Blaine gets killed by shoulder cannon. Mac gets killed by shoulder cannon. Dylan gets cut to ribbons and killed by shoulder cannon.
Oh, R.I.P. By the way, Carl.
Yeah, rest in power to a real one.
Carl is a fucking man.
You don't know how Billy died, but you assume he gets probably bladed because he was standing there with his big knife. Pancho gets crushed by a tree.
Right.
So like he didn't have that kit. This guy's got nets that turn you into soup. Oh, I also watched Cube. I forgot to watch Cube. Cube, fine. Yeah. Because I
like the net. I did like the net. The net was cool.
The net, the disc, the spear, all of these things, all of these like iconic Predator weapons show up in Predator 2. So the Predator in Predator 2 he's like a trust fund baby. He had all the toys, but he lacked the skill. If the Predator from Predator 1 had all the toys of Predator 2, Harrigan wouldn't have won. Spoiler alert. So anyway, he gets in, he does it. He's got that weird tong launcher that for some reason the chief pathologist for LA has a mass spectral analyzer at her desk, and she no-sells the fact that she has just discovered 5 undiscovered elements. More to that coming later. Anyway, all the Jamaicans get killed. The cops get called.
Did the Jamaicans to me reminded me of the Voodoo Boys from Cyberpunk?
Oh, they're just it is stereotypical. You could not be. I'm not going to do any of the voices because I don't want to get canceled, but man, holy smokes.
I think Jamaicans are okay. I think that's the one where we can
do that? All right, well, then I'm going to do a lot. When the King Willie scene comes, I might just give you the whole monologue.
I think we'll be all right.
Okay. So anyway, so the Jamaicans get killed and they get skinned. And now the cops are like, okay, so why is the Colombian guy still stuck here? And why are these guys skinned? And what's going on? What the hell? Is there a new player in town? What's the deal with? And they find the naked broad, and then she's like, so it's very similar to the chick in the first movie. She's like, the devil came for them. All right, we got to figure this out. I want to meet King Willie.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even make the connection. That is kind of a callback to the first one. You're right.
So the Predator, he's like, listen, he tells Danny, he's like, Danny, we're going to come back tonight, late night, and we're going to do this like boys, right? And then just hang out. And then Gary Busey's waving his shit around the whole time, talking about you can't do this, you can't do that, this is a federal matter, federal DEA nonsense. So then Harrigan meets with King Willie, the chief of the voodoo posses. And then that's where you get they say you won't talk me. They say you offer me favor, policeman. And it's just, the scene is super cool. And the guy is a mystic. He's rolling bones. And he's I don't know if he's just high out of his gourd or if he actually has some sort of psychic sense, but he's there's a demon from somewhere else here hunting us. We're all dead. And then Harrigan leaves in the zebra truck that's full of ganja, and then King Willie fights the Predator with a sword in a puddle and gets beheaded. And then everybody's
that shit was sick.
And that fake head is top notch. It's real goddamn good.
Yeah, it's good.
So now everybody's like, what the hell is going on? I don't know. Oh, by the way, Danny went to go check out the Colombians thing after hours. And then Danny gets up into the ceiling to find this spear tip or whatever, which then Harrigan finds pried out of his hands or whatever. Danny's death happens off screen. It is one of the most haunting and horrific deaths of any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Because the entire time, you're there the whole time. You don't see it, but it's just him screaming and pleading, and it takes longer than you want it to. There's a lot of oh gods, and like it's awful. It is awful. So anyway, mass spectrum analyzer. This scientist finds 5 new elements. She doesn't even seem to care. They're like, look, we got to find Peter J. Keyes. That's Gary Busey's character. We got to hunt him down. We got to do whatever.
Gary Busey in this movie is something else. A hard-ass Gary Busey is very funny to me.
I love it. He is the lions, the tigers, the bears. Oh my, he's on the line. It's so good. He's taking those big teeth and just chewing the scenery. And his like right hand man is like a B-list guy that you've seen in a million things, but you never know. He's like Wish.com's William Fichtner. So actually, he's not the guy from Firefly, is he?
He might be. He does look like him.
Okay. Anyway, so now Leona, who's played by Maria Conchita Alonso, and Bill Paxton's character, the cowboy, or the Lone Ranger, are on an LA subway, and this is like a commentary. Remember back in the day, remember in the 90s when they would always talk about LA, everyone has guns, like it's just a rampant, you could get shot just walking and everyone's armed to death.
That's how they talk about Baltimore now.
Right, but what was it, LA Story, or there was some movie with Steve Martin where people were like aiming shotguns at each other on the highway. It's that meme, right? So there's this scene where some street toughs are trying to rob somebody on a subway, and then everyone breaks out guns, so everyone's armed, everybody's happening, and then you're treated to first of all, the body count in this movie is through the
very high.
Then you're treated to what I think is a really awesome scene where the Predator attacks in the subway, and the lights go out, and you see the Predator vision, and all the people are getting dismantled. Everyone that's armed is getting dismantled, and Maria Conchita Alonso is trying to save everybody, and Jerry, Bill Paxton's character, is trying to fend them off. He's showing he's basically being Hudson from Aliens. Get out of here, I got this. He's just being brave. And I love Bill Paxton so goddamn much.
He's one of the best. Another RIP to the GOAT.
So he's shooting, he's stabbing, he's throwing knives, he throws he's got a ball that he bounces all the time, his little prop. And then eventually the train stops and Danny Glover comes down. Oh, the Predator grabs Maria Conchita Alonso by the face, is about to kill her, but looks into her stomach and sees that she's pregnant. Yeah. And now we are alerted, this is where there's 2 scenes in this movie where we're alerted to the Predator's moral code. One, he's not going to kill innocent people that are unarmed. So by the fact that she has a baby in her, and I guess he's a pro-lifer, and life starts at conception,
I think a baby is the ultimate weapon, but
right. So he doesn't do that.
What if she gave birth to new Hitler?
Well, right.
What if she gave birth to Predator Hitler?
My gosh.
Yeah.
He didn't think of that, did he?
So guys, you're pretty heavy on the Predator lore.
Yeah, the Yautja or whatever their actual race is.
I was going to ask, do they have a name? Does their alien race have a name?
They do. It's I can't. It's something with a Y. It is called it's Yautja. Yautja. But that is their name, allegedly. So anywho, so there's 2 scenes. There's a scene where you're treated to the same sort of somber trumpet soundtrack from the original Predator, where Mac is eulogizing Blaine. Same kind of moon, same kind of jungle, that bit, and you got the trumpets, and it's Danny Glover talking about Danny in the cemetery, and he catches a glimpse of the Predator in the tree. But the Predator, two classic 90s parents are hey, we're gonna go mourn over here. Kid, stay in this hot car by yourself. Right. And then the kid pops out, and he's got one of those remember, I think we were talking about these. Remember when squirt guns looked real, and it was that Enertech, I think. and they made like you filled up a clip with water, you locked it, had batteries, and this kid's running around going.
There were so many gun like toys that literally just look like guns. Like I remember I had one that like fucking
it applied.
Yeah,
I remember being offended as a child when like, why are they putting orange tips on these? They don't look real anymore, right?
Yeah, well, yep, I remember the same thing.
So anyway, this kid's job is like, die, you scum sucking dog, and then like the predator sees this thing with a gun and he like lights him up with a laser and he's like, oh, not a real gun, I'm not going to kill this kid. So now we've established that the predators have like a moral code.
Yeah.
Or an honor code. I don't know if it's moral, but it's an honor code, right? So Danny Glover makes his way down, skipping forward, makes his way down to the subway, finds Maria Conchita Alonso in trouble. They find out she has fetal oxytocin. She's pregnant. Get this woman out of here. She leaves the movie for the rest of the movie. He comes around the bend in the subway just in time to watch the predator rip Bill Paxton's head and spine out of his body. Yeah, and then he chases him down, but he's cut off by Peter J. Keyes, and Keyes takes him into custody. And he's like, listen, what do you got to think of this predator likes meat? We've been following the meat pack. It took us 2 weeks to follow his habits. And look, these are feral pheromone signatures. See, it's brilliant camouflage. Like he's doing his whole bit. He's just devouring the scenery. And he's like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put on these spacesuits and we're going to go into this. But somehow they made the leap in logic. I guess because they interviewed Dutch. They interviewed Dutch. And they're like,
these stupid ass like spacesuits he has. And then they have like, it's like a fucking compressed air cannons that are going to.
It's like, a liquid nitrogen gun.
Yeah.
So then, like, he's talking about how, like, you know, Beirut, Colombia. He's talking about all the other times the Predator showed up. He's talking about an elite special force team got taken out. And when the Predator was captured, it took out, it unleashed a weapon that destroyed 800 city blocks. Like, he's talking about what happened to Dutch and them in the original Predator. So he's like, we figured out it can only see in infrared. So these suits block our heat, making us blind to them. Then this dust, he's basically covering them in dust, and he's setting up a rave so he makes black lights happen, and it's going to make the Predator glow. That's his plan.
Right.
So he's like, come and watch the show. And then you're treated to aliens getting out. You're going into
aliens,
You're going into the fucking atmospheric generator, and you see everyone's shoulder camera and walking around. And it's just aliens, and it's great.
Aliens.
So they go in there,
unapologetically aliens.
And then at some point the Predator shows up, and he's like, he hears something. Someone knocked something, right? The Predator's like, uh-oh, what's going on? And he starts scanning through all his vision options until he can find something that works. And he's like taken aback. And then Danny Glover gets on the mic just like Ripley did when she knocked Gorman out of the way. And she's like, get your guys out of there, move, whatever. And so then they're getting cut down to a man. Danny Glover knocks out the CIA guys, goes out to his car, and grabs, I guess, his police-issued M16 with grenade launcher. And before Gary Busey can be killed by the Predator's shoulder cannon.
This is the whole reason the defund the police movement started. They watched the movie.
Yeah, it was the militarization of the LA police in Predator 2. He grenade launches in the side of this innocent business. It's just an innocent meatpacking business. Gets its back blown out, and then he fights the Predator. Fights it, shoots it, does whatever, and then he knocks the Predator down. Like, he gets it. He gets got, right? And then he goes and he pops the mask off. It's like, you're one ugly mother. And then the Predator pops back up and finishes the motherfucker. And then he's fighting for his life, but then Gary Busey springs back to life. He's not dead yet. He's like, get out of here, Harrigan, I got this. And then he's like doing this thing. And then you see the disc. This is the first time you actually see the Predator disc. And he throws it. It slices through like 8 slabs of meat, like 8 sides of beef.
This kill specifically lives in my mind, right? Like, this is the only part of the movie I really remembered is this scene.
It hits Gary Busey's neck, and the blood of 6 people drop out of that guy's skull. Like, he is. So now, the rest of the film is, I missed something. In between Harrigan and this, and after Jerry got killed, you're treated to the Predator going back to his ship and polishing the skull. And then you're treated to a bunch of different skulls. And one of the skulls looks like something from Star Wars. And one of them's an alien skull from Aliens.
When I was a kid, I fucking freaked out.
I popped so hard.
You kids these days don't appreciate this. Nowadays, IPs just intermingle and
do
all that shit all the time. I mean, all we had when Gogs and I were kids was this, and when Freddy's glove came out of the dirt and Jason Goes to Hell. That's all we had.
Like, this is like a shared universe. Like, just like as a kid, you're just like, oh my God. Like, it'd be like finding out that Alex Murphy, arrested Miles Bennett Dyson, so you knew that Terminator and RoboCop happened in the same universe.
Yeah,
like, it was.
And then years later, fast forward to years later, when we finally got the Alien versus Predator movies, and they're all ass.
I don't think I've ever been more disappointed. I am an unapologetic both Predator and Alien fan, but those two movies just suck. They suck out loud. They're just the worst.
Yeah, they're so bad.
So anyway, so now you've got the Predator and Harrigan are fighting their way through the city. They're fighting across rooftops. The Predator is, dangling from the side of this rooftop, and he's got his arm on Harrigan. He's like, I guess I'm going to kill myself now. So he starts his little nuclear bomb thing, and Harrigan is Harrigan's got a hold of the disc now, and he takes the disc out of the side of this wall because the Predator uses it to latch in, and he slices the Predator's arm off. So I guess that stops the nuclear reaction. So now the Predator, you get to see the Predator's first aid kit skills. They break through this old couple's home, and she's trying to hit the Predator with a broom. It's funny. Then they follow all the way through, and you get down, you jump down an elevator shaft, and then under this building is where the Predator's ship had landed. So you're treated to seeing the Predator ship, and Danny Glover's walking through, and then their smoke machine budget was through the roof. The whole place is just smoked out.
Also the ship I thought was funny because they were like, what the fuck does the inside of the Predator ship look like? I don't know. We kind of made it look H.R. Geiger.
Aztec?
I don't fucking know.
You know what it looks like from the outside? It looks like Samus Aran's ship from Metro.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does. They kind of ran out of ideas when they were doing the interiors of that Predator ship. They're like, I don't know, fucking, let's do this. Looks kind of like moving. Just put some lights up.
So then you get so the Predator doesn't have any of his weapons. He's just got his wrist blades, and so you get a one-on-one battle between Danny Glover and the Predator. They have a duel. Danny Glover wins. He fucking buries the disc and revs it through the Predator's chest, and he's finally won. Thing's dead. Green blood everywhere. And then I guess it was his evaluation day because and I think I've seen this movie 20 times, maybe more, probably more. I don't think until this viewing, I sat back and appreciated the fact that they made, because this is not CGI, this is practical.
Yeah.
They made no less than, I think, 10 practical Predator costumes, all different.
They look good too.
Unique,
they look cool.
Just for a 3-minute scene where they do nothing except they take the body away.
No, I'm kind of confused. I am kind of confused on a technical level. They just kind of appear, and it's well, how's that work?
Well, they were just stealth. They were stealth the whole time watching this.
Oh, they were in their ship. I didn't think about that. Oh, okay.
No, they're just. I've always read this as this is their evaluation of this guy.
Ah, I see. That makes a lot more sense.
And he didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
So they haul him away, and then Danny Glover's like, all right, who's next?
They give Danny Glover a fucking musket or whatever.
The pistol from Prey.
Yeah. They get a flintlock pistol or whatever.
From 1719 that shows up in Prey, and then they take off, and Danny Glover somehow survives.
Shout out to Prey, good movie.
Somehow survives that scene and comes out covered in dust, and then not William Fichtner's we were so close. He's like, don't worry, you'll get another chance. And that's the movie. That's Predator 2. You don't get to hear Long Tall Sally, which is a botch. But other than that, I don't think, if you guys couldn't tell, I cannot. Predator 2 is a movie that I will go back to. Predator 2, RoboCop 2 are two movies that are not superior to their originals in any aspect, but I love them more. I love those movies, and they're comfort movies to me. If I'm feeling bad, I'm just going to put on Predator 2 because I love it. It's a fun, I cannot objectively review Predator 2.
Sure.
Objectively, it's probably a 6.
I I have to be the wet blanket. My issues with the movie, I don't buy. Here's the thing. I like a lot of like the hard-boiled cop stuff, and I think Danny Glover is good at that. But like towards the end of the movie, when he's like climbing on the side of buildings, and he's like he literally is like one-on-one fighting the Predator.
He's not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It does not work at all. Like it's so goofy. Now, to me, it's an easy thing to remedy, right? Like first of all, you should have the Predator like very injured. And he's fighting him. I know he's missing a hand, but he's still like way physically imposing. It's the only part of the movie that holds it back. I wish like it was just somebody else. Like,
so they also try really, really, really hard to make you think that Danny Glover's a beefcake, because like there's a scene where they're looking at a guy that's like hanging from the scene. He's like 190 pounds, up 2 stories. You couldn't lift him up there. Like, you're such a hoss. Like, it's like he's not a hoss. Like,
well, and the thing is that I kind of like, it's weird because it doesn't really work. But like, you know, the first one you had, you know, it's always Sonny joke, right? Like mass alone, it was all beefcakes. Like every
Sonny Landham,
Shane Black was the littlest guy, and he was even still kind of big.
Yeah, like you had several governors of states,
and you know, I know you know this already, but Jesse Ventura, that little minigun that he was carrying,
it was like 100 pounds.
Yeah, it weighed like 100 fucking pounds. Like Jesus Christ! And he's a wrestler, and I know he's probably exaggerating a little bit, but also like some wrestlers, like I know are liars, but I don't mind because I like them. Like Jesse Ventura is one of those people. Like I just like Jesse Ventura.
I love him. I wish I could do a Ventura. I love his voice. It's like.
Also, Jesse basically got Vince pissed off at him because he tried to unionize the wrestlers, so he's like incredibly based. Like, he was always trying to.
I was the governor of Minnesota, and I was in Predator. Like,
and I also love him because I don't know if you remember this, but when he was mayor like a billion years ago, remember he got shit on pretty hard because he said something like, and my old Reddit ass. Atheists love this, but he said that religion was a tool of the weak-minded.
Yeah, he's a gem.
And I've softened on my atheism, but it's still funny. It's a funny thing to say, especially for a public figure to say something like that.
He's the governor of Minnesota, and he's like...
But anyway, my only gripe with this movie is like I just don't buy Danny Glover as the character that they're portraying him as, and it's such a weird casting choice.
It's like a stunt cast.
But like for what? Because it's also like I think like my only complaint, because I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. My only complaint is that like they needed to like lean into Danny Glover kind of sucking more. And then it's a little bit more interesting. Like, he's got to outsmart, kind of like we did with Prey, right? Like, I think Prey is good because you have to, like, she doesn't, you know, physically beat the Predator in a fight.
No,
but she like, uses
with her mind.
And she's, like, thinking. And I think you kind of have to do that with this movie. But, like, this movie doesn't know how to write. So, like, of course they have him in a fight at the end of the movie with the Predator. It's like, that's stupid as hell. But it also is kind of charming that it's so stupid. Like, it kind of works. I don't know. I mean, that's my only complaint of the movie. Like, Danny Glover, he's great. I love Danny Glover. But, like, he doesn't work as this character. Like, even like I was trying to think of, like, other, like, badass cops. Like, you know what would be good in this? And you're going to agree with me. You probably know what I'm going to say before I even say it. Who's a badass cop?
McBain? No. Who?
Kurt Russell.
Oh, Kurt Russell would been a lot of fun.
Tango and Cash.
Tango and Cash versus... Dude, Tango and Cash versus the Predator?
There's your movie.
Just the two of them. Just get rid of Jack Palance and make him the Predator.
I mean, full stop. It would have been cool as hell. And they probably couldn't get him because he's too expensive. But having Arnold in the first one, having Stallone in the second one, that'd have been fucking sick. That'd have been sick. Again, the movie's not bad. I'm nitpicking because this is a show where we talk about movies. My only problem with the film, because I think it's paced well, I think that it's ridiculous. I would say that I want a little bit more Predator at times, but I get it. It's a budget thing and it's expensive and complicated.
I like him like toying with them. I like that.
Yeah, but no, I mean like specifically towards the beginning, like when he slaughters that gang, like I want to see him slaughter that gang just because it would look cool. You kind of, it's more implied. Again, that's more of a budget thing, I'm sure. But the movie's great. Like it's a lot of fun.
I also need to walk back something I said. I said that casting Danny Glover was stunt casting, and it kind of was, but it's also like the safest choice possible because this is coming off the heels of not one but two Lethal Weapon movies.
I was thinking he's kind of Murtaugh.
He's already that cop, right? Yeah, he's Murtaugh, but he's like Murtaugh on like cocaine.
Yeah, it is very. I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask, like, where did this come out?
He's Murtaugh and Riggs at the
same time. I was going to ask, like, where this came in relation to Lethal Weapon, and
both of those were before. Yeah. But can I share something with you? I think we might have talked about this before. I'm sure we talked about it before, but I want to reiterate something. The guy who directed this movie,
yes,
right? He directed several other movies that I like. One, I know this came up when we watched it. He directed Judgment Night,
which we watched on the show.
Which we watched on the show, and if memory serves, we enjoyed.
We loved it. We all loved it.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. Good movie, right?
Good movie.
He directed Blown Away, the IRA movie. I like that movie too. He directed The Ghost in the Darkness, a movie that I like.
Isn't that the Lion movie? The Lion and
with Val Kilmer.
Baldwin? Oh no,
Val Kilmer and the guy who ate bad pussy and got throat cancer.
Michael Douglas.
But more importantly than any of these things, he directed A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, this guy is great.
This guy's
fucking lineage.
Strong.
Yeah, this guy rocks.
He did Dream Child in 89, Predator 2 in 90, Judgment Night in 93, Blown Away in 94. Like those were his. He did those 4 movies in a row.
Is incredible. Yeah, I love this dude. I love this dude. All right, I'm really hungry, so let's get into scores, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. When we announced this yesterday, I already put it on my spreadsheet. It was a 10. Like I can't. I've already said enough. Like I can't objectively watch this movie, so I will not. I've fallen over this for the next.
It's a 10.
Forever.
It's a 10, huh?
It's a 10. It's not a real 10.
Fair. No,
but it's like where my heart is. I can't.
Sure.
I can't. I will love Predator 2 and RoboCop 2 to the day I die.
I also love RoboCop 2. I'm a big fan of RoboCop 2. RoboCop 3, not so much.
No.
Yeah, RoboCop 3 sucks. So it is an 8 for me, dog.
That's a good score.
It's a 8 bordering on a 9. I really don't like the last 15 minutes of this movie. I just don't like the last 15. Like,
it's the worst part. I'll give you that.
If the last 15 minutes of this movie were stronger, it'd be a 10 for me too. But I mean, it is such a great ride up until that point. Like, it's a lot of fun. It's just like, I feel like they kind of wrote themselves into a corner at the end, and then it's just kind of like, all right, it's done. And I also love the very 80s, 90s ending of just kind of ending. It's just like, it's just over. Like,
by the way, a spaceship with aliens just launched out of like downtown LA, but
but whatever. Yeah, no, not that big a deal. Thought you'll get them next time.
Yeah.
Like, it's hilarious. But yeah, it's an 8. It's an 8 for me, dog. It's a fun movie. A movie that's generally, at least like in the popular conscious, like not liked very much. I don't know why.
No, it's a lot of fun. Like it's
a lot of fun. Now, me personally, I still think Prey is better than this, but that's probably because like I haven't watched this in years, so like I don't have the nostalgia for it that you do. But I mean, I still like it. I don't think it's bad. I think it's.
I would say Prey is a better movie. I just like this more. Like, you know that like call me where it's like this is excellent, but I love this. So I guess this was your pick. So I guess this gets to be my pick.
Wasn't it next week Alex's birthday? Doesn't he get his birthday pick next week?
Okay, well then
we'll have to find out. Well, what's your pick
if it's not his birthday pick? My pick is something I've never seen before, but it's Gary Oldman's Sid and Nancy.
Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman. Excuse me.
Yeah, I love that movie. Sean does not like that movie, so it'll be an interesting. That's an Alex Cox movie. I'm a big fan of that movie. That'll be an interesting show to talk about. I'm interested in seeing it. Whether you know this or not, Alex Cox directed Repo Man.
I just found that out.
Same director.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch it. I like that movie. Like I said, we'll see. Maybe I won't. I haven't seen it in years, but
I've never seen it, so I don't know what to do with it. But I know it stars Gary Oldman.
It is one of these biopics that takes a lot of liberties with the actual story, and some people get upset by that. Me, I don't give a shit. But we've had this discussion, like with the Marshall movie. Like, I thought the movie was entertaining. I agree that it took a lot of liberties with the story, but like, I don't know. I watch a movie for a movie. I don't watch. It's not a documentary, but
right.
We'll see. All right. Well, that's the show. I'm going to get some pizza. I'm starving. Gogs, thanks for coming by.
Hey, you know what? Happy to be here.
Guys, thanks for listening to the two-man Mohole banger. Gogs and I are going to go log off and continue to stare at Drake's penis. If you haven't seen it, Google Drake's penis. It's very impressive.
Give yourself plenty of time. There's a lot to look at.
It's very big. It's alarmingly big.
Well, you know.
But yeah, that's the show. So bye, everybody.
Keep it 100.
That's right.